Hi, my name's Chris Caesar. I'm a landscape photographer based out of my gallery here in York, and I'm also an ambassador for the Canson Infinity range of fine art papers. Today I'd like to introduce you to the second product in an exciting new range released by Canson Infinity. These papers come under the Arches collection, and Arches is a paper mill in France, and for centuries Arches have been producing exceptionally high quality artist papers. Some famous artists from the past have used these papers, including people like Picasso, Matisse, Chagall, Warhol. But now the good news for us is that they're available for photographers to use. So what's special about the products? Well, they're all, I'm going to talk to you about this one first. I've decided to do a black and white and a colour image to talk through. But all of these papers, the key things are they're 100% cotton rag. The cotton rag, it's a beautiful feel. It's silky, it feels very stable, it's easy to work with. So that's the cotton rag. They're also mold made. The mold making process is really exciting because it gives you stability within the product. Basically, if you think of it like a stick of rock, where the letters go through the rock. When you mold make something, you end up with what's called a homogeneous product. It becomes one thing. So if you put in surface layers on, there's no chance that the product's going to fail because it's all inherently there. The surface texture is part of the product itself. It's kind of not something that's added on, if that makes sense. So they're very, very stable. They have this silky feel. And they're pure white, very, very high white. The key thing that's groundbreaking is that they have no optical brighteners. An optical brightener is added to some papers, normally shiny papers, to get that whiteness level up. But there are some people who would rather use papers without optical brighteners. So as far as archivability goes, this is about the Rolls Royce, really. This is as good as you're going to get. So if archivability and long life are important to you, do check out the Arches range of papers. So this one is called BFK Rives Pure White. There is a white version. I'm just waiting for the ICC profiles to come through. Been working on those. And once they come through, I'll be doing something similar with the BFK White. But this is the Pure White. So I don't know if you can pick out, these gloves are extremely white and we've not got a lot of difference between the gloves and the paper. So what's the benefits of a pure white or high white paper? So one of the benefits is that any areas of white will be rendered white. So in this image, for example, we've got this area here, which is quite high white, next to an area of silhouetted black. And on a normal paper, well, before this was available, we might have had a slightly warm tone to this. So this would have had a slightly warm tone. So by having a paper that can display whites properly, we can stay true to the colours and the light that was present when we made the picture. The blacks are rendering beautifully as well. So there's lots of contrast going on here. So this paper, just like the Arches 88, which we looked at in the last video, is capable of producing not only white, but extremely deep blacks due to the high Dmax of these papers. So we've got bags of detail, which is important to me. I think one of the reasons maybe why people shy away from textured papers is that they worry about how they will sort of change the detail. You know, will the detail go off down the cracks or whatever? The detail here, which I'll try and show you on, I'll go and get my camera out in a minute and see if I can let you see some of the sort of texture on this paper. Masses of detail here in the bottom of the tree and in these branches themselves. But it's the stippling that sets BFK Rives apart. So it's not a smooth paper. I wouldn't say it's the most chunky paper I've ever seen. It's not scary in any way, but it has got a very, very slight orange peel effect that's going across it. And what this tends to do is add a new element to photographs. It takes things away from a sort of one-dimensional flat plane result and moves them towards something that seems to be coming alive a bit more. Because we've got this slight stippling, it almost becomes a little bit more 3D, if that makes sense. there's just like a different dimension there with the fact that the paper isn't flat smooth, which I love. I love the flat smooth papers. I've always liked smooth cotton matte papers, smooth sort of shiny papers. But this paper, for these images where you might have these big open spaces of nothingness, the long exposure in this has created this water that's just basically rendered flat grey, and the areas in the sky with the movement, with the long exposure of those grey clouds that were trundling along, sometimes it gets a bit monotonous with the sort of flatness. But this, because of the stipple, can provide a solution to that problem if you see it as a problem in a particular image. So it creates a different aesthetic look. It creates a new option with regard to how we can put our prints down and how we can let people view the work that we've done. So it's really exciting. I must admit, I really like the effect. I really like this image on this paper. This is an image I've printed on various papers. I do quite a bit of printing and testing in my gallery when I'm in on my own. Cost me a fortune, but hey ho. But yeah, I really, really like this effect. So that's the BFK Rives Pure White in monochrome, and we're going to look at a colour print as well. Okay, so here's the BFK Rives in the pure white. I just wanted to show you this area. You can see there's lots and lots of detail that this paper can get down. And up here also in the tree, beautifully sharp lines. So you're not losing anything on the sort of detail that this paper can handle. It's exceptionally detailed. But the key thing, this is where I'm hoping I can show you this on the phone, you can just make out there, look, you can see the surface texture that this paper is giving me. I'll try and show you on a slightly lighter area, but there you go. We've got this nice stipple that's almost like a very, very faint orange peel effect. If we look on the colour picture, again here, bags and bags of sharp detail. This paper will not let you down at getting detail down. But again, if I can just show you up in the clouds, there you can see this lovely sort of texture that gives a new element to your work. Just breaks up maybe those smooth areas a little bit and kind of brings things to life. The colour one, I've gone for this image, which is an image from the Lake District. And this is perhaps a really good example to look at because we've got a lot more detail in this one. Now the detail on this bridge and these trees is exceptional. The bridge is, and these rocks, that is bursting with detail. So the orange peel isn't affecting how we can put down the details that we've captured. This is a long exposure. As you can see, we've got lots of action in the water here in the foreground, and we've got hints of movement in the sky. The pure whiteness of this paper is really helping. If we look up at this mountain, this is snow-capped, and it really is white. It's beautiful. And we've also got some highlights here in the water that are also rendering white. So the pure whiteness is really helping with this picture to maintain the integrity of what was captured at the time when this picture was made. When you look at it from a distance or from close up, you do pick out this slight orange peel that's going on in the smooth areas. And again, it kind of, in a way, brings it to life. It gives it a slight 3D look, a slight 3D feel, as if it's not just living in one plane, it's somehow jumping about, coming towards you a bit more, looking maybe a bit more alive. It's hard to explain. So this BFK Rives Pure White, again, in the colour, is lovely. And again, I'm surprised how much I like it. It does give me options, and I think there are going to be images like the two that I've just shown you where I will be utilising this paper. And it's a great addition to the edition etching rag that currently exists in the slightly warmer white. But there's also, as I say, a version of this coming called white, which we'll be checking out as well. We're just waiting for the profiles to come through, which is this, but with a slightly warmer tone. So you'll get a slight warmth in these areas where you're getting these high whites. But overall, really impressed with how this paper's handling the warm tones as well as the blacks and the whites that we saw earlier. So that's the BFK Rives Pure White.